So I can escape what Jennifer presented as the first slide, because we could have the same first slide from the diversity of backgrounds and diversities of countries. In our case, it was from Australia and Japan to Europe. So it's clear that it was also diverse, but it's a great thing of this day. ARRIGE is really from all continents, from Asia or Australia to Africa, the two Americas and Europe. The preliminary statement was to stick with pragmatism. We have existing norms at various levels, so also something you emphasize, Jennifer, which is a multi-step process. There will not be a unique magic bullet. We need to consider what is already existing at the various levels, from local to international, and what are the aspects of genome editing technology regulation that are not sufficient or not satisfactory. We need to face the reality that the landscape is extremely complex, and that we have to face diverse cultural landscape, diverse conflicts, which are clearly conflicts of interest when it's the race to be the first in place or the first to develop the treatment. And a good example from another field, but as we were just speaking of Africa, is the Ebola vaccine, because WHO a couple of days ago pre-accepted the Merck vaccine, and it was a case of race between the Merck vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, with various political fights in Congo Congo Brazzaville for Kinshasa, for example. So clearly we have to mix with some political agenda and to articulate with public engagement, and to base our activity on governance on public engagement. So we think that governance should start from education and dissemination of reliable information, and it's clear that ARRIGE, and we already spoke of the scientific committee of ARRIGE, is here to promote reliable information, and we have to try to see how to reach the larger public, starting with children, being able to propose, not to back up, but to propose various narratives, not only the promise of treatments and promise of recovery and all the good things, but also to think about alternative narrative. Then our norms, we have to build them on existing frameworks, and these existing frameworks, we think that the only recognized international regulations are the human rights declarations and the international bodies against human rights. This is not very fashionable, but this is the only real international recognized body we have. So WHO and UNESCO are most likely main interlocutors. Then we have to define what type of legal instrument, and clearly we had discussions on what would be better, soft law or hard law. As an objective, as a goal for the future, we need hard law, but to be realistic, we first need to go by soft law for many reasons, including sovereignty of states and efficiency, because if you want to have a hard law, but it takes 10 years to reach this hard law, so many things will happen during these 10 years that it's better to start by what you can go. So a multi-step in time, a multi-process in actors and aspect, and because of the evolution of the technology, we need also already to anticipate on the fact that we are going to need adaptability of these norms. So a lot of discussions and a global process that will include the fact that we are not doing things once forever, but we are in a dynamic of promoting the best for the technology and for the goals of the technology. So what kind of regulations? Once again, the case of human germline was at stake, and it's clear that we need first to go straight to this point and backup regulation on this point. We need clearly to, even if everybody is trying to blur the limits, we need clearly to say what is day and what is night, what is therapeutic goals, and what is human enhancement. Sorry for some of our members that would like to see more human enhancement, but therapeutic goals is the priority. We need to see how the intellectual property law can limit some promotions of the benefits of the technique, and considering of the cost, considering also of the amount of investment, we need to think about social justice. And here again, we will need to look back to the history. And a classical example was HIV history. As soon as the tree therapy was appearing, every patient wanted to benefit from the tree therapy. And considering the cost, immediately it had to be an international discussion to make access to the treatment, and these aspects of fairness and social justice will be most likely at the heat of any kind of regulations. So we spoke of various new instruments that would be that we have to think about. What kind of place? Matt Porteus proposed a committee, at least for human germline. We thought about some kind of judicial court to refer the case and to try to refer also the various conflicts that could arise in the field. We need some coordinations, and we need some possibility to make some kind of blame and shame. And we have seen recently that the Brazilian government during the Amazonian fires was inactive for a while, but as soon as the global public opinion called for an action, it finally raised some action. So we need to combine some place, committee, court, some coordination, and also be able to raise the public opinion to make the things moving and make the politicians or the regulator moving on. And finally, we have also to face some aspect of the product. We have to think about and what kind of opinion we have for the Do It movement. And we have also some proposal of very original proposal, and Guillaume Lévrier will communicate some more on the how to make genome editing and whatever it's CRISPR or prime editing, some kinds of platform which is a common good, and licenses would not be distributed just by private companies, but would be licensed by kinds of central banks that, considering the impact and the kind of public good that could be these platforms, could try to impose the distribution through a kind of public monopoly. This is highly provocative, this is highly original, but considering the impact of genome editing, we could try to think about new aspects of new aspects of distribution, as well as new aspects of rewards for the private companies. clearly the patent or the restricted license does not seem the best way to allow rapidly the benefits for the larger public, and we have to think original ways to have the just price, the just reward, and the accessibility for the larger number. Thank you.